hype because I know this is not news to anybody else. There's been a lot of Centaur games, but we have not cast a Centaur game yet, and I'm mega hype for these fat, juicy hoof stomped into double edges, Cinderin. What are you excited about this game?
I love watching OD, so...
Oh my, all right, this conversation's over. That is just filthy.
I mean, I feel like your judgment of heroes, you lost your permission after you said Lion is the worst hero to play against in all of Dota. It has been unpicked this team.
I don't. It's not about it being good or bad. It loses the game, of course.
Oh, so that's why you hate playing against it, because you win all the time.
Yeah, it's too easy.
I understand. Okay.
Very easy.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things here. Obviously, let's talk Underlord first. Gaming Gladiators. This has been a staple for them all year. Whenever it's been the right game, and here should have a good lane against Naga Siren. You have the percentage-based damage against Centaur, which is also pretty good. I guess they wanted an aura carrier with their Chen strats. This is bread and butter Gaming Gladiators, mid-game dominance kind of lineup. And Azure a bit on the greedier side. You've got OD plus Naga. And hopefully for them, the Centaur can get off to a good start, because I think they need him to be able to hold the towers when Gaiman's ball is inevitably going to come this game.
Do you think either team coming into this has more momentum than the other? I mean, Gaiman have come from the beginning of the lower bracket, mind you. No team has ever reached the finals from the beginning.
I think Gaiman has the most momentum because their games are shortest.
Okay.
So they're just faster in general. That's gotta be it, right? They're not messing around. They're winning a lot of their games with this Chen in like 30 minutes. And I was thinking, okay, in this series, Azure, if you're going up against Gaming Gladiators, don't give them Chen.
Yeah.
And well, they did it game one. So we'll see if they're going to have the solutions. Obviously, we're going to see the Enchantress as a potential pseudo counter. I feel like that whole dynamic has changed a lot over the years compared to what it used to.
Wow, this is quite the 1v1 support battle we have going on here. Will it end? Ench? Okay, gonna stick it up.
Dead.
Another right click, and there's the fairy fire.
I gotcha. He had a fairy fire.
You knew that.
I only saw the stick.
You only knew that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Relax.
Doraccio getting already very low in this top lane against the old Centaur Muerta combo.
Yeah, this lane is extremely potent. So you put down the calling, it gives Centaur time to walk in and connect the stun double edge combination, and then if you line it up nicely, you might even proc the silence. And yeah, that's going to be a tough one for Gaming Gladiators. I think a lot of this is going to come down to whether Chen finds the right creep. And well, what do we got so far for good old Celery? He's got a Kobold Foreman. You wanted momentum, here you go.
There you go, okay. Now just needs a Midas next.
Okay.
They stack.
This one gives speed aura, not the gold.
I know. That's the big brother of the gold man.
That is true.
And the gold man doesn't really last too long, unfortunately. One day, we'll get that buff. I mean, he's drinking that golden cup. He should be given some money as well.
This is a good creep here for Celery. Be able to take the Harpy Stormcrafter.
That is that still the S tier creep?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's one of them. There's a couple that you really want in the beginning. This one. In this lane, I mean, usually you want an offensive creep to play together with Chaos Knight, but I'm actually not sure if they can play offensively into this. The calling is such an insane defensive spell against anything aggressive Centaur or Chaos Knight wants to do. So maybe you have to kind of settle. He's obviously going to harass FY a decent amount with the Chain Lightning.
All right, I have a question for you. Do you think Quinn has an obsession with Pangolier? It feels like it's all he plays after talking so much garbage about picking that freaking hero. He loves it. I mean, it keeps getting nerfed. We keep seeing it over and over and over. How does it fare against the OD? Because this is a hero that we haven't really... I mean, we've seen Somnus play it. He's like... I don't know if he's the only one, but he has played it ridiculously well to the point where I'm unsure why it's not being picked by other teams.
I guess there's just not many players in this tournament that really feel comfortable on it. The only other player that comes to mind that we saw play it was Kiyotaka, and that was hit or miss, to be honest. Somnus has been the only player that has been consistent on this. And I mean, we say that. It's been 2 games, right? It's not overwhelming, but... yeah, the lane matchup itself should be good. OD kind of loses to absolutely no melee heroes in mid, I want to say. Pango should be pretty straightforward. But at the same time, in that pool of mid heroes, Pango is maybe one of the melee heroes that stands the best chance. You can always disengage from the harassment with Swashbuckle. You can get CS because you just have spells that CS for you rather than just your attack. But I expect Somnus to come out of this lane at least slightly ahead.
Yep, Chaos Bolt starting action there with Hoof Stomp with Chalice, who's now completely out of mana on that Centaur. We'll see if he goes for... I mean, we're seeing a lot of 1-1-1 builds on the Centaur. Game that Zai went, he went, I think, 2 into the passive, and then kind of had to jungle a bit, and he just had a really rough game overall.
Yeah, this is going to be a much better laning stage for the Centaur than it was in that game, though. We've already come. Okay, there we go.
Calling with
Healing Lotus.
Stomp. Yep, back into it. Gonna get stomped. Nope. Double edge is there. First blood goes the way of FY. You can see that Chalice dies shortly after, so it is a trade, but Azure Ray going to be very happy with that.
That trade isn't necessarily the absolute worst, because getting levels on Chen is really powerful. Getting a stronger creep and more creeps in lane will be helpful, and obviously, considering how this lane goes, if he has any sort of just regeneration item or any heal, or in this case a protective item such as the medallion, that is even hybrid, can also use it offensively if they see a kill opportunity. This should probably make for a good laning experience. I don't really think this was a significant loss for Gaming Gladiators because they traded. So Dyrachyo should be a bit more comfortable here knowing that Celery's got his back.
Yeah, what would you say the reason that we haven't been seeing Underlord all too often, despite this being an ace special? You can see Deadshot back in the top lane.
Oh, that
to the hook stomp double edge. The follow Celery is just dead.
Yeah, that was...
Along with the Harpy.
I want to say that was within 10 range of missing that hook stomp. That was super close from Chalice. Well done. Underlord, I mean, the hero is kind of strange in the sense that it's very one-dimensional, right? Like, you're very slow, you only play a specific kind of fights well, you have some very bad lane matchups. In this case, you feel confident picking it because you know the Naga will be carry. But some of the other carries that we've seen in this tournament, such as sometimes like Monkey King would be the standout one, makes your game miserable, and this hero just flat out is not good if it loses its lane horribly. But in this matchup, you feel safe as ace. I think you're going to have a great time. We'll get a Vanguard very soon and get toward those auras.
Forward again, yeah. The calling with the hoof stomp double edge. You get silence, but looks like Dyrachyo will be able to walk away. You can see Chalice going for the kill build. It's a 2-2-0, in fact. Hoof stomp not exactly the best scaling spell, but you know, getting a little extra stun action can be valuable for them to continue to get kills in this lane, or at least try to. But Dyrachyo, of course, has that built-in healing mechanic with Chaos Strike. He's going to heal up a decent amount. You can see
this is
a bot lane. Ace is in a lot of trouble, getting chased by Lu and Ench, trying to deny himself onto the creeps, but not going to happen.
And the
another kill goes away of Azure Ray.
The healing Lotus top went to Chalice, which is very important here. You've mentioned how he's been running out of mana. If he keeps getting the Lotus every 3 minutes, that's an additional stun that can offset that problem in the lane.
Yep.
We will lay into him a little bit here, but here comes the Arcane Boots as well.
Hoof stomp double edge with inside the calling as well. Dyrachyo just tries to man-fight his way out of this into the double edge, though. Chalice will actually get the kill and live, and now Somnus with the Astral, setting up another kill onto Celery. Well, the Ogre has something to say about that, but Santa's Eclipse is going to be more than enough to provide Azure Ray with yet another kill. 5-1, early lead for them.
You know what we haven't had this whole tournament, Shannon?
What's that?
Trivia time.
Oh, no.
What do you think the debuff that you get after you get OD ulti is called?
Oh, I know this. Okay, this... Oh, boy. I know this one. It's really stupid. It's mana something. Mana something.
Mana allergy.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Imagine being allergic to mana. That would be very annoying.
Feels like that should be an AM spell name, but maybe for another lifetime.
What's an AM?
It's a hero.
Oh, I haven't really.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet.
I almost forgot he exists.
I think he was somewhat popular 6 months ago, and then people realized that he's very boring to watch, so he was nerfed. And then
surely that's what happened.
As long as he's not played at TI, it's fine, right? That's the balance discussion. The swash from Quinn. You can see in terms of farm, Somnus just a little bit ahead. Obviously, part of that is that gank top. Quinn has yet to leave the lane. Haven't seen the Rolling Thunder quite yet. Nice Satyr creep for the old Ench. And we'll see if Somnus ends up going for the same relative.
Oh, he's in trouble.
Quinn, Rolling Thunder. They get the OD to start. Doesn't want to put him on the cliff, though. Has to be a bit careful. Astro going to keep him alive a little bit, but he is completely surrounded, and Somnus does die. Quinn getting a very valuable kill here. Hurricane onto the Ench as well, surrounded by creeps. Do they have a stun? No. TP away safely, but still mid lane down. Gaming Gladiators pull away with a slight gold lead.
Yeah, that is a very good kill for them to get. Obviously, Somnus was starting to have a, I mean, not an outstanding game, but OD is the kind of hero that you want to kill a couple of times if possible, so just slowing it down. The hero sometimes falls victim to kind of chain feeding, where in order to cast your spells and deal damage, you need to be in there, and if you don't have the items to sustain yourself against this kind of ball lineup, you could be in trouble.
Oh,
actually,
wow,
okay, that was not expected. But I mean, I guess at the same time, right?
It is
he was left alone because Chen went mid, so Dyrachyo wasn't.
Gaming can get something out of this. Swash is going to miss. This is all for a position 5 Ent right now. They'll get it. But obviously, like we talked about, does cost them their CK in the top lane. And now, I mean, Somnus was kind of disappointed to see that hero because he wasn't even in range for XP. He's like, all right, I guess I'll help push because OD is very good at hitting towers, as you can see.
Yeah.
But he's going to lose his mid lane in the process with all these creeps from Celery. Oh, Quinn wants to fight, apparently.
Oh, miscommunication there.
Yeah, Hoofstomp not going to connect thanks to the Astral. See, anybody wants to pursue any further. Looks like that might break things up. Still no passive for Chalice, so no retaliate.
Yeah.
They're going for that kill build.
Is going to slow down his farming a little bit if this becomes a little bit more stale and you need to hit some jungle, not having any points in retaliate. Level 3 double edge. If you're stacking jungle, you can't just spam this with a Vanguard. The Seeds of Serenity offset it quite well though, so perhaps he's going to be okay. But yeah, a lot of the time we see Centaurs go to something like 1-1-4 so they can keep farming essentially for free all around the map. But yeah, you can't really question how much it paid off top, right?
Yep.
Dyrachyo was shut down quite effectively. 3 deaths on the Chaos Knight so far. Is the lowest net worth core aside from the OD of Somnus, who arguably maybe rotated a little bit too much. Like he's moved top twice, like you pointed out. The second time he got nothing out of it except some tower damage, and the first time he was also maybe a little bit late to the party. So,
and Dyrachyo refuses to give up this tower. We can see the calling come in, along with the ult from FY, already level 6, trying to apply some pressure to Dyrachyo. Quinn TP's in with that Rolling Thunder, looking for Chalice. Looks like that's going to be an easy cleanup for Gaiman. So good rotation overall. Meanwhile, hit a Malice from Ace, but he's surrounded by enemies, trying to go through his Fiend's Gate, but it's not going to happen. He will die. But meanwhile, fight continued in that top lane as Quinn will secure a double kill.
Yeah, honestly, they were not even close to killing
Get
Chaos
that courier.
That was, when they went for CK there, I think they only got him to about a third. So overestimating how much damage they had in the tank there were Azure Ray, and that punish from Gaiman hurts twice as hard when you also lose the tower. So, well, I feel like we've seen this type of game from Gaiman a lot of times this year. I feel like I'm watching a replay of half their games. Which means by extension, Azure Ray cannot be surprised. Like, this is Gaiman's best strategy, you could say, like this archetype of strategy that they're running here. And it's something that we've had the panel talk about in the past as well. Gaming Gladiators isn't exactly a team that comes out with some really big, surprising picks that much, right? You could say Underlord isn't picked that much, but the style
run into Lou, no song to work with. Gonna turn to the little piggy. FY trying to help out as much as he can. Looks like that's enough distance for the Naga to get away. Might cost them their Ench, and it will. So a good sacrifice for Azure Ray. Could have been a lot worse.
But that's the thing about Gaiman, though, is that you're watching the strategy and you're like, this, you could have shown me this draft and I would have guessed it was their team, right? You just blindly show me this draft.
Well, you just see Pango and you know already, right?
No, who played this at TI? You'd be like, that's Gaming Gladiators. But the fact of the matter is, you know they're going to run it. They're going to keep running it until they lose. And hasn't really been the case. So, you know.
They're not slaves to the meta.
Nope.
They're doing what they want.
They're doing what they want. They're doing what they're good at. And if you're not good enough to beat it, they're going to keep doing it.
That's why we found ourselves in this elimination match, lower bracket of TI. Winner of this secures top 3 and will face off against LGD tomorrow. There's Quinn now with the Illusion Rune in tow. Lady has Diffusal coming. We'll have it shortly regardless.
Yeah, it's on the way.
Lou gonna be working on Manta. No big crazy items. No switch ups from the Naga. That feels like one of the most cookie cutter heroes in the game in terms of just itemization. Maybe a Bloodthorn 4th item. That's the switch up. Centaur, on the other hand, you just get HP, and they're very exciting. He's going to be going for pipe this game. Do you think he's going to have to go for a blink a little bit earlier than that, or they're just taking this a bit slower?
It's kind of awkward, right? Because if you go dagger first and you jump in and you capture stun, it's nice, but the counterplay potential from Gaimin is just extremely powerful, and you might not be able to overpower them anyway when Chen shows up with Hand of God and maybe some good creeps and Underlord.
Oh,
The mech.
Quinn with the Rolling Thunder. That's a kill. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That was extremely casual. He just walked up and slapped him in the face.
Yep, that was
Diffusal now online for Quinn.
unexpected. I don't know how that was so easy. It was kind of strange that there wasn't any protection there and that he just got caught, but that's going to cost them a tier 2 tower by the looks of it. Maybe they're going to try to defend. All right, Somnus is here. Good damage.
Finds Ace. That's a lot of damage being applied. So much pure damage. Insanity's Eclipse to follow. Looks like that's going to be the death of the Underlord. Somnus now finding himself next to Quinn as well. It's going to be a trade, though. Somnus will fall as Celery trying to run away from Chalice and company, but that's not going to happen. So a 2-for-1. The Ench looks like will live as the Zoo not able to fully commit any further.
All right, that was a very good defensive rotation from Azure. I thought they were going to lose the tower there, but quick response. They're not letting Gaimin run the map as they want. And that kind of has to be the attitude you need to have against this type of lineup is you need to fight for your ground, right? If you give up even 10 or 20% more of the map, you're just going to get starved out and end up losing on gold. So fighting for every tower, protecting your areas is the name of the game here. FY with a silence. Yeah. Close to Atos here, FY. Gives them some extra options. It helps the Centaur not buy dagger by quite a lot that the Muerta is going to be able to set him up instead. And they really want that pipe for the sustain. They need to be able to outlast the Pango ult. They need to be able to outlast the Firestorm. And as I mentioned before, buying dagger here isn't a gimme because you might not have enough damage to burst anyway, so maybe you're better off just having the durability in the fight.
I have to say, this is feeling like vintage Gaimin from earlier. I mean, we've talked about them obviously a lot since they've been winning a lot of tournaments, but the last couple months, I feel like they've dropped off a bit. They've had a bit of a roller coaster, if you want to call it that, but top 3 network on their side. Somnus going to get some benefit thanks to the Stampede. Looks like that'll be enough for him to get away as Ace comes in through the Fiend's Gate. Horsey action from Somnus. Oh, he's going to show himself again, though. Pit just dodged. Quinn now with the Rolling Thunder. Can he find them in the fog? It's going to be close. Very close. Yes, he finds them. Shield crash. Down goes Somnus. Wow, that was really well played.
That was a game of hot and cold. Well, he got him.
So that is death number 3 already for Somnus. I mean, how does this hero come back? Is this here you have to get Midas on eventually, or
that is kind of the down. Oh, hang on, that is a very
Dyrachio. All right, that apparently was a Centaur.
Yeah,
They'll be a little beefier than that, but that's
Chaos Knight does a lot of
in the meantime, trying to TP out in the midst of action. Looks like he'll get away. But Gaimin still, I mean, even if they don't get the kill, they're forcing these guys out of their comfort zone, back to their base. And we can see that lead just slowly growing in Gaimin's their favor. Well, their flavor as well, but their favor mostly.
Love myself some good Gaimin flavor.
Delicious. Pangolier on the grill.
Okay.
Beef enjoyer.
Wonderful. Yeah, so what does OD do to recover? This is kind of one of the problems of this hero is when it's doing poorly in the beginning, the recovery curve is quite steep, and you also didn't go Midas. So I think that is probably part of the reason that a lot of OD games that do get played end up buying Midas early, because the risk-reward of bypassing it requires a very, very well-executed game. And just these couple of deaths on Somnus now, the hero doesn't farm that fast. So if you don't have Midas,
Tier 2 tower down
not catching
17 minutes. Rally skeletons.
Yep. Oh, that's
something to fear.
We love the boys. A lot of the boys here.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
5-minute cooldown on the boys.
I don't see why they stop now. They're going to force out the fortification at the very least. Azure, FY will show up. There's the fort. Tofu trying to protect his nether ward. Still half duration left. Phantasm used by Dyrachio. They want to continue on here. Already half HP on this tier 3. Somnus making his TP action coming. Okay, Try everything on edge. He gets delete. Well, he's still alive. The Astral keeps him just barely alive. In fact, he's going to be able to piggy away. The Stampede will help in that effect as well. The Fiend's Gate from Ace to get deep into the base of Azure Ray is already, they're knocking on the door. And Zeracho getting healed from the sideline from Tofu. They're going to have to do a lot more healing than that. They're going to be able to kill off the Edge eventually, as Chalice is now going to die. And just like that, it's a 5 versus 3. There's a song from Lou, but can they combo this?
No.
And his Eclipse is not up, so their racks will end up falling at 18.5 minutes. Gaming Gladiators playing way too fast for Azure Ray to handle. Another Reality Rift into, this is going to be too much damage, but there, just at the last moment, Somnus gets off the Astral, but it still will set up Quinn to come in and finish the job. And now Gaming Gladiators with a 10K lead, playing so fast.
And if you think back on the draft, the way this started was Gaming Gladiators picking the Chaos Knight and Azure Ray immediately responding with Naga as a proposed counter. The problem is Naga counters CK later on, but it doesn't counter the tempo. And the rest of the lineup that Azure have built for themselves here are not particularly good with handling this kind of pressure. So you're giving Gaming Gladiators their Chen strat, and you're picking greedy heroes into it. That's, I mean, let's face it, Naga plus OD just is inherently greedy.
Right, this feels...
You're kind of asking for it.
It's not quite the same, but it feels like the Noun series between Gaming Gladiators and them. As Chalice is going to get found out, he gets off the hoof stomp, but Quinn is there with the swash. And the inhibit, as we all like to call it, Chalice will die in front of his tier 2 tower. Of course, Stampede not even bothering to be used because he was dead to rights.
I don't know if Azure have enough damage. I think if Gaming Gladiators just group up and keep going, they're just gonna run down the lane. They've got Greaves, they've got Hand of God, they've got the Pugna Life Drain. What damage are you bringing to the table? Odie has ulti on cooldown for another minute. Naga has 1 item. So Naga is not ready to fight. This hero doesn't fight properly until it has like 2 or 3 of them. And time's running out. So yeah, here we go.
Phantasm from Zeracho. Already half HP on the tier 3. Edge, okay. Astral keeps him alive. But he dies shortly after. We've seen a lot. It feels like just a replay over and over as Lou on the... Okay, he's gonna get in a little trouble here. Quinn continuing on. He's gonna use the Rolling Thunder. They do not have Song. There's the Astral again. Can they combo it? Somnus is gonna pay the ultimate price though for this, as finally the Song comes out. Quinn not gonna be able to combo up too much as a result. Back to the low ground. Gaiman gonna try to reset as the Ench bot back. So still 5v5, but now those barracks are exposed. And keep in mind, Roche has not even been attempted yet. This does not fit the meta that we've been watching this entire tournament.
But this isn't the first time that Gaiman do this, though.
Yeah, Gaiman are very special.
When they've played this strategy or this archetype strategy, they bypass the Roche a lot. And I think their logic is that it takes too much time and you give up map control. Like, they don't want to corner themselves, literally, when they can just run at the enemy base and not let them play at all.
Right.
If you go there, maybe you lose a team fight and you fall behind. It's opening the door because you're inherently at a bit of a disadvantage by being the team that's in the pit. Like this, neither team has Aegis, and if you're stronger, you don't need it. So,
okay.
Okay.
All right, that was an Enchantress. No longer, though. Another Astral Imprisonment onto the center, who's stuck inside the pit, so he's going to get rooted again, brought back with the Reality Rift into another root. But the Deadshot's going to keep Quinn away, but still, damage is being applied to these barracks. And Azure Ray not showing many signs of life here. Is Lou on the backside, just going to try to help out, but he's already lost the Centaur. And now Somnus on the run. All he can do is go back to base. In fact, he might be back to death. Will be Astraling himself again, but dies again shortly after as the GGs are called. And Gaming Gladiators completely stomp Azure Ray in game number 1. Gracious.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said this reminds you of the series Gaiman had against Nouns. I feel like Nouns fell into the